Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Homo sapiens, pace setters and bedwetters, welcome along to the Gamesmanship podcast, the show forever at the crease of sporting insight. My name is Joe Spivey. Alongside me, as ever, in spirit, is the wicket-keeping sub-6 foot stack of sporting analytic brilliance, George Wilson. George, are you receiving me?
Yep, all clear over here.
Yes, well, this has been quite the week. We've had Ireland and England taking Australasia, conquering it once more in the Rugby Union. We have had England being beaten by the canonical brilliance of India in the cricket. We've been taken to town in Lancashire. We have had the women going through to what I believe to be the final 8 in the Women's Euros, yet to play Spain. That should be a tasty contest. And we have also had a bloke called Cameron Smith, not a golf fan. Sorry, haters. He's got an excellent trim, and he's taken Scotland as well. But aside from all that, we are largely focusing this afternoon on this equatorial afternoon in both Yorkshire and Brighton. It's bloody hot. I don't know whether you've heard. I've not got any trousers on, as the premium viewers, I'm sure, will be enjoying now. Apart from that, this afternoon we are focusing on the Formula One. We're 11 races in, and me and Jorge thought it would be sort of prescient to do a half-season roundup. So, yeah, what are you making of the old motor racing these days, George?
Well, the big story from me for the first 11 races is, bloody hell, don't these cars crash well? Mick Schumacher snaps his car in half at Saudi Arabia, I want to say, and then Guan Yu Zhou goes head over...
Was it not Monaco?
No, it wasn't at Monaco. And then Guan Yu Zhou goes head over heels at Silverstone and then just, gives off a good show. And bloody hell, these cars crash well. As well as being able to race closely behind each other, they do make good NASCAR-esque crashing entertainment.
Yeah, they follow really well. That was the main kind of, that was the main bullet point, wasn't it, heading into this season with the regulation changes and stuff. Formula One cars were getting more middle-aged, so they were getting sort of smaller and fatter, but they were also supposedly going to lend themselves to better racing for the fans, which we have had quite a lot of, most appropriately in Northamptonshire last week or whatever it was at the British Grand Prix. That was marvellous. I think there was about 5 cars within the space of about 20 metres at one point going through Stowe and whatnot. You had, Fernando Alonso, who could, again, that man could do anything to me. He's a wonderful man. Put him in red overalls and he's leading the championship. You had Alonso, I think, was Norris in there from the McLaren?
Yep.
And you had, obviously, because you had Sainz dancing away, or prancing away up the road, and then you had sort of Lewis doing his stuff to the delectation of the crowd, and it was wonderful. Yeah,
it's just that last 10 laps of Silverstone was easily the best live F1 I've seen in my sporting interest career.
Do you think? Do you think that trumps final Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi?
Easily. Because Abu Dhabi was a complete joke. It was.
I know it was a joke. I know it was.
In terms of the actual sport, like that is as good as F1 in terms of the pure sport, the driving gets. Because
it was effectively just like 9 blokes on a stag do at karting. That was what it was like. It was really close racing.
It's brilliant.
Everybody was of a similar skill level, similar pace level. Hamilton decided not to try to end somebody's career going through Maggots and Beckett's, or the one before Maggots and Beckett's this time. Didn't crash out. I think it was Leclerc, was it he was running close to or something? He could easily have Verstappened him, but he didn't.
Him, Perez and Leclerc were all pretty close.
That was it, Leclerc. Exactly. Yeah. So what else do we have? Oh, we've had obviously the Bahrain Grand Prix started it all. A lot of reliability issues for Red Bull. Verstappen didn't finish the race. Perez decides to completely lose the rear end at turn 1 and then pronounce that he's lost all power, which I thought was very funny. Completely 180s it and then goes, "Oh guys, I have no power now." It's like, no, Sergio, mate. What you've done is you've been a little too throttle happy and you've spun the car around. But anyway, I thought that was very funny. Very good excuse from Sergio. Anything else of note, George? Anything big? Anything major? It's really
well. I think if you want a detailed stats-based analysis of the first 11 races, go somewhere else. This is.
Thank you for viewing 5 minutes of this video, by the way. Leave a like and subscribe and stuff.
Yeah.
I hope But yeah, if you want,
if you want the in, but I think for me, one of the big things, the fuck's up with Daniel Ricciardo. Struggled last year, had been done a kipper by Lando Norris, who was easily the best of the rest last year. Is getting challenged for that title this year by Fernando Alonso, in my opinion,
and Nicholas Latifi.
But Danny Ric's going to be bought out of his contract at the end of the season. I'm becoming ever more convinced. Committed? Well, he has, but I don't understand why they'd keep him when they've got Pato O'Ward in the IndyCar series. American, get that market in. Zach Brown, money, America, just Fernando. Yeah. I just.
Is it what do you think it is, George? Because there's a lot of this thing. It's like Vettel 2014, where they just don't get along with the car. They just like something in their driving style doesn't work with the way that the four wheels are set up and stuff. Or
I just think he's lost it. I just think he's.
Because you're paid hundreds of £1,000s per week to drive a car. Surely you can like get it together.
I just don't think he has
more
it.
Sim hours.
I just don't think he has it anymore. I think it's gone. I think he's old and just time to go, Daniel.
How old is he? Early to mid 30s?
Yeah, I mean, some people just lose it, and
he's still smiling all the time though. That bloke really
he is, but I just don't think he's good enough anymore. I think there's a queue of young drivers waiting. Oscar Piastri, we have. Just waiting in the wings to get a seat, and I just think it's time for him to go. And he's going to get bought out of his contract, and a long career of 10 F1 wins, I think, is going to come to an end. And fingers crossed for a.
He was because he was the kind of goated son, wasn't he? He was beating Vettel. He was beating like a 4-time world champion every week. He was winning races whenever the Mercedes didn't win races. He was literally getting his nose in front, although that's not exactly difficult with that honker. But yeah, apart from that, it seems a decent bloke. He'd be a good. You could have a few pilsners with Daniel Ricciardo, but unfortunately, he's.
Well, as I say, I'm very excited for his career in punditry.
Yeah, it will be good. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the big. Go away, have 3 or 4 years, do some dirt biking, mate. Come back. Get on.
Stroth, man. I'm here. Yeah, cool. And then we have Nicholas Latifi. Still has a what does he do? He's got a love-hate relationship with barriers. Still likes a barrier every now and then, and likes to sort of excite a race by making an inevitable safety car 3/4 in when everything's settled down. He's still doing Latifi bits. Most notably, when did he crash? Did he crash in Miami? He almost definitely crashed in Miami because there was like so many difficult turns.
Well, he had a good qualifying in the wet in Silverstone, and I think that makes it for him. I mean, did
you get to Q3?
Yeah. And he scored points.
Imagine having a nibble. Imagine someone who's had a nibble on any available betting site. Again, when the fun stops, when the fun stops, carry on. I'm sure somebody will have had a nibble on Bet365 and earned themselves a few nights out worth of British pound sterling. Because I think you could have got some odds that were longer than my arms for Nicholas Latifi to get into Q3. So what a bloke. He has redeemed himself with that achievement. But I'm sure he just went backwards in the race.
Speaking of turnaround redemptions, we have Haas. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Kevin!
Yeah.
Kevin scoring points, P6 on his first race back in Bahrain. Mick Schumacher getting his first point all, and now has had 2 consecutive weeks getting into Q3.
Yeah.
They're back to
He's got a love affair with Sebastian Vettel. Yep.
They're doing better than the AlphaTauris this season. They're back to the 5th, 6th best team on the grid. Them McLaren and Alpine are all pretty close, depending on the circuit and the track and the conditions.
And if Alpine just upgraded their second driver, then they would be having a great season.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like,
isn't worth the rubber on his tyres, mate. He's absolutely.
Well, he scored more points than Fernando.
Yeah, no, okay, that would seem to slice into my theory quite dramatically. I didn't quite think about that, but I don't know, just the empirical evidence.
Exactly.
Watching every race and it just seems to fuck up on.
I mean, it's the same with Lewis. It's the same with Lewis that George has got more points than Lewis, but I think he'd struggle to make the case that he's outdriven him this year. Like George has got
it's
fortunate
just Mr. Consistent though, isn't he?
Well, no, but he's got very fortunate with things like safety cars and such, and
Whereas Checo's been very unlucky with stuff like that because he must have been leading 2 or 3 races and then he'll have pitted under normal circumstances, and Latifi will be in row Z of the grandstands, having binned it, and then all of a sudden you've got a safety car and he's in P7, and then obviously then the Red Bull have inevitable issues, and he ends up not finishing the race when he should have 25 points in his Mexican bin.
And a very happy father.
Oh my God, that man! I want one day to make my father as proud and as happy as Esteban Perez or whatever the hell the man's name is. Absolutely glorious to see. We saw it 2021 in Mexico in his own backyard. He's probably still there now, like getting the pilsners in and the champagnes in. Absolutely loving it. Was he like arm in arm with Lewis's dad? Did I see it, Silverstone as well?
I don't know.
I think I think they had a little paternal moment there, which was very nice to see. But yeah, Checo number 2 driver, racing very well. He's got a contract for another 74 years or whatever, hasn't he? He's nailed on for it. I think is it another 2? I think or something like that. So he's going to be driving for a while longer. Max Verstappen is rapidly disappearing up the road, both physically and metaphorically. It seems that not many can stop him. It's a little, because you said to me, I remember quite famously, George, in Abu Dhabi when I was sweating with glee after his completely legitimate, legal and law-abiding championship win last year. I was absolutely gleeful after that. But then you said to me something along the lines of, he will become so dominant and he will keep winning that one day you will hate him. And I'm already starting to dislike his dominance. So your words rung true on that, sir.
Well, he hasn't been completely well. He had his first 7-8 races where he won every one that he finished, and then Perez beat him in Monaco.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
he just outqualified him and beat him on pace. And I think Perez has won a race. Sainz won brilliantly in Silverstone. I think the Mercs will win one of the next 11 races.
You think they're going to rally? You think?
I think they are. Yeah. Well, I think that car's coming together. It's just,
and as Toto Wolff says, everybody's got a target on their backs this year. So
yeah,
how's that going for you, mate?
So I think it is going to get competitive, and I don't think Max is actually just going to run away with it.
Safety. You heard it here first.
For
Max
this
isn't going
for
to
this
run away
year.
with the title.
Well, no, I don't say that, but I think the rest of this year is just going to get forever closer. Which is going to be good, but
where are we? Where are we next? Because we've got what
we
we've just
are
done.
we are following what
you can see how the Formula One devotees that we are. We don't know where the fucking next race is on the.
Well, I do. It's France.
Oh, cheers, mate.
I was trying to get there, but you interrupted me.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that, buddy. Yeah. There must have been something on the line. Brighton's a long way from Hull.
Should we talk about some predictions for the next 11 races /
championship
coming up to next year? Because you spoke about Perez being signed on for the rest of his life at Red Bull, meaning Gasly's got to go in terms of leaving AlphaTauri.
Oh yeah, Pierre. How have we not touched on Pierre?
Because he hasn't had a strong season. He's had a weak season.
No. Yeah, he's one of those guys like sort of that you universally regard as a good driver and doesn't have to prove it. Whereas somebody like Tsunoda can be pronounced as Yuki Noda as not as good a driver, but can slowly. At the back of the queue, start to do really well. So yeah, Pierre does need to go. Where does he go though?
Well, this is the problem. Well, I mean, he hasn't been strong enough to get a top 3 team seat. The problem is Fernando's got he's got one more year after this on his contract. Ocon's signed up for the next 4 years, which is just stupid. I think it's a shocking piece of business by Alpine. You've got Oscar Piastri, your backup young driver. You got
what nationality is Piastri?
Oh, question that. I think he might be. I think he might be French.
Yeah, I'm going to say they surely just want a French bloke in there, don't they? That's all they want.
Which Pierre Gasly is, and he's not only French; he's a good-looking French bloke. Very marketable.
Yeah, many homosexual comments could be made.
Well, I mean, it's another argument for Daniel Ricciardo's got to go. if Zach Brown doesn't choose his American IndyCar driver, which would obviously be great for business, but might not be ever so good for actually driving the car well.
Results.
Yeah. Then Pierre Gasly's the obvious choice. A combination of Gasly and Norris is mouth-wateringly marketable.
It is mouth-wateringly marketable. I can see the headlines and banners now. So that would be at McLaren, right? Okay. Yeah. That's the move, isn't it?
That is the move.
Yeah, McLaren need to be the third best team. They need to usurp Mercedes, and then Norris and Pierre need to battle for podiums in the next few years. That's what needs to happen for the interests of sport, for the interests of aesthetic quality. For the interest of fairness and all that type of thing. Yeah, that definitely needs to happen. So,
yeah. And perhaps final topic on F1. What do we do with Aston Martin? It was taken over by Daddy Stroll after being a very, very efficiently run Racing Point / previous to that Force India team, where they were consistently outperforming the budget that they had. Just well run, bought correctly from other teams, and it was just brilliant. And then he comes in, lumps it with loads of money, and now it's shit.
Yeah, it is. I think they've just struggled to move with the times, haven't they? Like Williams, but again, Williams haven't. Like I would imagine Aston Martin have one hell of a budget. I know they didn't do well in the constructors last year, but they should have a huge budget, and they obviously currently top the aesthetic car rankings. I think. Obviously, you're an Alfa Romeo chopper, but that's the difference between us. But yeah, they obviously you've got Lance Stroll, whom I think gets way too much stick. I think he's actually all right, but just because he's a paid driver and he's been slotted in there by Swiss francs, then obviously people don't like him because you all you lot, you just despise people with money and stuff, don't you? As I say that as though I'm Mr. Stroll as well. But yeah. Obviously Seb Vettel's in there. He's had a few incidents where he's tripped over his laces this year and stuff. He doesn't seem at the races either. The amount of times they've been out in Q3 is unbelievable. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. So this could be the end for Aston Martin.
Well, it's not going to be the end for the team. It's not going to be the end for the Stevenage-based team. But I don't know how long's left on Vettel's contract, if it ends at this year or if it ends next year. But either way, he's not getting re-signed, and it's the end of him in Formula One. Because he's not that quick anymore, and he doesn't have youth on his side. So, bye-bye, Seb. And I think the interesting question is, at what point does Danny Stroll stop giving a shit about his son and start giving a shit about winning races?
You'd always have Lance in there though, because he isn't, like I say, he's podiumed and stuff. He's not.
What? Once in a Williams, which had a Mercedes bomb in the back of it. He's
but who was his teammate? Like, they didn't score that. He's not crap. He objectively isn't crap, George. He might be somewhat mediocre on occasion, but he's not. He's not.
I could think
you'd have him in there. In the interest of nepotism, you'd have him in there.
No. Would you rather have Kevin Magnussen?
This is where George gets his lightsaber out and again completely dismantles the offhand theory that I've just given.
I mean, would you rather have Kevin driving Aston Martin or Lance?
Kevin.
And there are so many drivers like Kevin that are just sat on the sidelines who can't get a drive. I mean, there's so many like Formula 2 champions who now just don't get drives.
Because it's a small door and there are a lot of shoulders trying to get through.
And we still only have 10 teams, and the likes. Well, obviously Kimi's gone now, but obviously Fernando's come back.
Yeah, he's hanging the fuck around.
And then we have pay drivers.
For an old Todger.
I think it's a really interesting season for Mick Schumacher because he had a really, really bad start and was shown up consistently by Kevin. And now he's had 2 point scoring races, and he all of a sudden seems quite good again. And that Haas outfit looks really good, and I'm quite excited for next season because obviously it's very dependent on if the Ferrari's good, then the Haas is good.
Because it's basically a black Ferrari, isn't it? That thing.
Except it's white, but yeah.
White, black and white, isn't it? I mean, it's like...
come on. Whatever it is, it's not the Russian flag anymore, is it?
No, it's not, which is...
That was one of the most blatant sport washing attempts. I think that's up there with with the Newcastle third change kit. Have you seen that? It's been released.
No, is it like the Saudi Arabian flag or something?
Yeah. So it's white with a green badge.
Love it. Well, you would though, wouldn't you? You just paid an inordinate sum for a company. It's like, yeah, I'm going to inject some of my patriotism in here. It's the same. If I bought a football team, I'd have the white rose all over it, even if it was, Accrington Stanley or whatever, anything. I'd just plaster my own personality all over the kit. I don't see why not. But yeah, that's been a wonderful exploration into the vast world of Formula One, George. I'm sure everybody will be thanking us for our celerity and the way that we have lightened up their lives on this absolutely intolerably hot Sunday afternoon. But as I said earlier, other things have been happening in the world. England's Bazball heights have been thoroughly clean bowled this weekend.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. I'm happy with the white ball team failing. Because
I'd much rather.
The good news is it's Australia's fault. Because we've got an Australian coach for the white ball team, don't we? It's not Brendan McCullum. Brendan McCullum is still on the pedestal of all-time imported, newly English people now, because he's now English.
He is. Yeah,
and it's some. And
loves a club, loves a beer,
and it's some Australians' fault for obviously being shit at white ball coaching. But more importantly, and pro Australia, we have Cam Smith having just hit 64 on the final day to win the 150th Open at St Andrews, to break poor old Rory's heart. Still waiting for another Open win, major win. 8 years.
I've followed the golf I followed the golf loosely, and I saw that McIlroy this morning was doing rather well, and it was all looking good for him. But then, obviously, the Australian with quite a profound and revolutionary trim.
It's fantastic. It
came through.
It is the power of the mullet was perfectly illustrated today. To be fairly superhuman, the way because he hit 4 back to back birdies. And then ended up beating McIlroy by 2 shots, and it was just golf with a mullet at St Andrews, which is all posh la di da, and
very very
Kyrgios-esque, and we'll find the interview after he wins, and I don't know if you've seen the Claret Cup, which is what they get, but he's asked.
I don't know it in great
But he's
detail,
asked how he's gonna celebrate, and he says, "I'm gonna see how many beers I can fit in this thing."
I love it. Yeah, he's one step away from doing a fucking shoey, isn't he?
Yeah. And also, just a bit of mullet watch, which could definitely become a segment. It's not a trimmed, well kept mullet. It's a bird's nest.
It's the mullet of mullets.
It's a bogan bird's nest, tangled, horrible, grotty, beautiful, just slab of disgusting hair.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's the mullet because you get a mullet for social cachet. So you see a mulleted man and think, oh, he looks like a fine, he looks like a fine fettle. Likes to make a little bit of a fool of himself, but still, wants to look all right. Here for a good time. And that of all mullets is the most Mulletian. That's worth 4 points on your Joe Spider vocabulary bingo. Mulletian this afternoon. So yeah, I'm a fan of the hair. I'm very much a fan of the golf. It wasn't very traditionally. It wasn't a traditional Open, though, I understand, because obviously it's often in some quite what would you say? Christ. Conditions that don't lend themselves very well to playing golf, basically, and that's why it's like the most unpredictable. To win.
The British Open isn't always played at St Andrews. And this one was at St Andrews, and conditions were like low wind, warm, no rain, very very quick greens. Basically meaning low scoring was easy. So all of a sudden, if you're scoring 5-6 birdies around, that's what you need to do to be up there, instead of that effectively winning you an Open. Well, because especially lots of these big American guys can drive on a par four, and their driver will land on the green, or can get to a par five and get on the green in two shots. So there was plenty of it was Eagle Deluxe across the weekend. I don't think there was an Albatross, but yeah, more birds than 256 on a Wednesday, basically.
Well, hey, love it. Manchester, we'll see you soon. Don't worry, we'll be back.
Live episodes coming to you.
Live. Oh no! Oh, the seeds. Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Homo sapiens. You join me in the toilets of 256. Yeah. That was a very assertive.
But yeah, it was just the oxymoronic nature of him doing and completing one of the most impressive things in sports, winning the 150th Open at St Andrews. And he's been just about the best golfer this year. I know he's not ranked number one.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. But he's been on some amazing form this year, and I just like the fact he evidently doesn't give a shit about what he looks like.
Yeah, he's finally pieced it all together.
It's quite inspirational to see. You see fucking Ronaldo spending his whole fucking life caring after his image, and then you just see Cam Smith. That is what a sports person should be.
Should be, yeah, you're right. You're so right, George, in every way. But a bike race is still happening in France, I've heard. Obviously, Jonas Vingegaard is still doing Vingegaard things. Pogacar has decided not to give up and to continue attacking, which is wonderful for all viewers. So that's going to be a good final week. We head into the rest day tomorrow. I believe we've got a man on the ground.
We do.
That will be lending a hand tomorrow and sharing some words about his experiences in the Alps. So that will be wonderful. Tom Pidcock had a post-race bath in a public fountain in the middle of like Saint Etienne or something, which is again laudable behaviour. Yeah. Yorkshireman, love it. Yeah, love it. What else has happened in the Tour? Not an awful lot going on in the Tour, actually. Michael Matthews, who everybody thinks is a sprinter, but he's actually a very, goated climber, won yesterday. That was very nice to see. Jasper Philipsen, who very famously was absolutely ecstatic about his second place on stage 4 or 5 or whatever, finally got it with a throw on the line. So yeah, the tour's looking in good shape.
Yeah, and we'll do a full debrief of that tomorrow. And the good news about the tour is, because obviously all of these guys have such incredible outputs, some of them tomorrow, because it's the rest day, might even be able to have a Brooklyn non-alcoholic lager, and which is currently what I'm drinking.
Looks tasty,
and it is delightful. It is alcohol-free, hoppy lager. And it sits beautifully.
These podcasts, you're very un-Wilsonian in these podcasts, George, having 0% alcohol and stuff. This isn't the Brightonian beast that I know. Normally, you're straight on the Pilsners.
Well, I'm having a very productive July. I'm working 45 hours a week, and I'm thinking it's a healthy.
All right, mate, get the violins out.
It's
Well, I'm having Arancia Rossa, Italian style soda, and I'm having it in great quantity, as you can see. There's the badge.
Rehydrate,
it looks
mate.
Backwards to me now, but
rehydrate.
Yeah, it looks backwards to me now, but it will read perfectly to you YouTubers. It's green everything except for if you have 4 litres of the stuff like I'm doing now. So yeah, that's good on this bloody hot Sunday night. This is doing me well. So, yeah.
Well, on last week's episode, Joe, you surprised me with a little surprise quiz. So I thought I would.
I surprised you with a surprise quiz. Well, surprises are in the nature of surprise quizzes.
Once again, I do not have the vocabulary of Joseph Spivey. But I do have 3 quiz questions waiting here for you. Would you like to take on the challenge?
Well, it would be a bit odd if I just said no and ended the video now. Although I do have editorship power to do so. But that would be a pretty rogue move. So yes, hit me.
Okay, well, starting with question number 1. Which
how many are there?
3. Which sport do the Kings Lynn Stars do?
King's Lynn Stars.
And if you need a clue, I'll give you a big clue.
Okay, go on. Yes. No, I'm going to try without a clue, mate. I'm fucking hardcore. Look at me. Okay. I know where King's Lynn is. Can point it out on a map. It's reasonably coastal, like South Lincolnshire or whatever. The King's Lynn Stars.
It's near Norwich. East Anglia.
Yeah, yeah. Stars speaks of kind of sort of.
It's a high-speed sport.
It's new world stuff. High speed. The stars, bit of danger, a bit feminine perhaps. With it being, star glittery. I'm going to go for like speed skating in a circle. Do you know that thing that they do in latex?
You had one of the words right. It's speedway. Have you ever seen motorbike speedway?
Yeah. In the mud and stuff, where the rear's all kicking out and that. Oh, excellent! The King's Lynn Stars.
Yeah, we should go.
I'm sure they're a great side.
Yeah,
we should report live.
Yeah,
that would be excellent.
All right. Question number 2. From which sport do we get the phrase "right out of the screws"?
Right out of the screws.
Well, you know that saying. You've got that right out the screws.
Yeah, vaguely. It's not something I'm really sort of accommodated with, but okay. Right out of the something. It's a tool-based sport that employs screws in its use. It's not cricket because that would just be way too obvious for you, and there's no screws involved. Screws, could be obviously that's vernacular for police. Straight out of the screws. For fuck's sake, come on. These are really bad. I'm gonna have to pick something, otherwise this video is gonna be 4 hours long. I'm just gonna say boxing.
It's golf. From when the club head used to be screwed on.
Oh,
so the face
that makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was a sport that employed some sort of implement, but I didn't know which one. So yeah, go on, give me number 3.
Finally, and this is a slightly easy question. Which sport would you have to win in to get the America's Cup?
See, that's not wholly easy. It could the only American sport I follow is the NFL, which
it's an international sport.
It's an international sport, the America's Cup. This isn't easy, George, by any stretch. It's not golf. I don't think it's golf. I was going to say NASCAR, but it's not NASCAR. It's an international sport that the Americans play. Fuck's sake. It's not. I'm going to say golf. Is it golf?
No, it's sailing.
Sailing?
Did you not know that? It's
what is that?
It's the big sailing.
Like what Ben Ainsley does?
That's the America's Cup.
No, didn't know. Okay, with all their Henry, I know that they wear like Henry Lloyd jackets and stuff. I know the fashion, of course, but I just didn't know. Oh, excellent! The America's Cup. Okay, I'll tune in. I'll become an expert. Coming up next week, our preemption of the winner of the next America's Cup.
So, just before we finish, Joe, who's going to win the French Grand Prix?
The French Grand Prix will be won by a bit of a rogue choice here. I'm going to guess that those weird, like, elliptical blue lines that they have are going to put everybody off, and there's going to be a bit of a pile-up. So I'm going to go for Mr. Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton. I could see it.
What about you?
Charles Leclerc.
You're boring, mate. At least you pronounce his name properly.
Charles Leclerc. Jonas Vingegaard, Yuki Tsunoda, and Charles Leclerc.
Butchering surnames since 2022.
Anyway, it's been a lovely conversation, Joe. And
George, yeah.
We will catch up later to give a rundown of that week in the Tour de France.
Yeah, this has been the Gamesmanship podcast. As we all know, the show forever at the crease of Sporting Insight. My name's been Joe Spivey. His name's been George Wilson. They will also be our names next week and forevermore. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, well done. You can go and have a poo now, and goodbye.